everybody, and this is Batman,
Ghostface,
and Romag. Alright, today I have two comics I want to bring you. One of them is Whatever Happened to the Archetype, #2. The second one is Death Rattler, #1. Both of these are brought to you by Insane Comics. Now, Whatever Happened to the Archetype, #2 is written by Stu Perrins, and the art is by Ron Gravel. This is the second issue in the series. The issue is action-packed and follows the story of former superhero, the Archetype, as he battles his arch nemesis, Frenzy, and finds the love of his life, Stephanie. Once again, Ron Gravel's artwork is awesome. It's very clean, and it fits the story well. Stu's story is really fast-paced, really action-packed. Unfortunately, it's a little too fast-paced for me. There are parts of the story that seem like they were rushed, and that's a bit disappointing to me. But overall, it's still really good. I like where the story is going. I can't wait to see the third issue, and I would recommend this to anyone who enjoys comics, and especially superhero comics. I'm going to rate this a solid 4 out of 5. Now, the next comic I want to talk about is Death Rattler #1. Now, this comic is co-written by Kelly Bender and Ryan Downing. This story follows Dawson, a female assassin living in a futuristic Wild West world. Her one mission in life is to destroy every member of the Devil's Cross gang to gain revenge for the death of her father. Now, Downing's artwork is beautiful in this story, and it's reminiscent of some of the indie comics that I loved in the early 90s. The story's action-packed, fast-paced, it's a mile a minute, and it's very reminiscent of the Kill Bill series. That being said, I feel like they used a lot of gratuitous sex, which really wasn't necessary, and I think they did it to draw attention to the cover, maybe draw attention to the story, and it really took away from the whole thing for me. I don't think it was necessary. The story held up on its own as it was. But overall, it's a really fun story. I enjoyed reading it, and I would suggest it to anyone who likes fast action-paced. I'm going to rate this one a 3.5 out of 5.
Hello, and this is Batman. I've come back, and I'm here to talk to you about some comic books. That's right, comic books. Thing we all love. Thing that we love to rub on our genitals. It makes us happy. Genital rubbing. What were we talking about? That's right, comic books. We have comic books. First comic book we shall talk about this evening. Insufferable, on the road, #1. This is the first issue for the second arc line, continuing the story for this fun-loving, quick-witted father and son superhero tale. It's great. In this issue, we start Johnny with the two uneasy allies and their assistant Meg on the quest to recover the Galahad's stolen money and locate the killer of Nocturnal's wife and Galahad's mother. That's right, the notorious fiend that caused the death of this glorious, beautiful, innocent woman. It's terrible. Should never happen. But moving along. We join here shortly after the events of the last issues in a plane headed for the Cayman Islands, where Galahad has been enlisted as a spokesman for rum-flavored malt beverage. Things continue to ramp up as events unfold during this issue, and now the guys continue to have more on their hands than they expected. That's right. Very much more. Now, as far as my opinions of this issue, I think it's great. It was amazing. I loved the first storyline on this series. It was great. I loved the whole thing, and I was very excited to finally get a hold of this On the Road with Insufferable. It was very much what I expected when I got a hold of it, and I was very, very happy. So overall, I would definitely give the issue a nice 4-5. Definitely very good start for this arc line, and I hope to see very, very much more improvement as it moves along. And I want to just take a brief moment in between this to talk about comic books one more time. They're great. Everyone should read them. Everyone would be much happier if they just read comic books. I'm telling you. You know, if Vladimir Putin read more comic books, he wouldn't bomb so many people. You know, if he was reading Insufferable, he would just be like, you know, no, I don't need to bomb anyone. I'm reading comic books. You know, Kim Jong-un, he should read more comic books. Maybe if he was reading comic books, he wouldn't, you know, perform mass genocide on his own people. Especially if he was reading, you know, this comic book, Batman and Tmnt. That's right, the third installment of the Batman TMNT short miniseries arc line. Oh, it's great. It's better than anyone could have ever expected. That's right. Originally, when this idea had come around, Romag poo-pooed it greatly. He kept talking about how Steve the Todd must have come up with this idea. He said Steve wrote it on his way down the toilet stream. And he threw it back to DC and IDW, and they were like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. Well, Steve was on the money. He knew exactly what he was doing because this idea was great. In this third issue, you have the continuation of Batman continuing to learn what is going on with this new set of creatures, these turtles in his city, and trying to help them make their way back to their own dimension. The issue was great, and I give the thing, and I actually edit. Great, and I give the issue a whopping 4.6 because I believe that this could have possibly not been any better. The artwork is great, and the storyline is just amazing. All right, well, that's going to wrap up my comic book reviews. Now we shall move it along to Ghostface. Over to you, Ghostface. Ah, chopper.
This week I'm going to be talking about Lantern City issue 10. And if you've heard the show before, you know that we love Lantern City. We've talked about it quite a bit on the show. It's one of our favorite comics of mine and Batman. Lantern City is a Boom Studios comic. The team on it is Daly, Scott, Magno, and Blythe. And in issue 10, some main plot points are beginning to be resolved as we continue building tension towards the climax of this story. Now, like I said, this is issue 10 of 12, and we're almost there to the end, and things are beginning to get heated between some of the main characters. There's a lot of tension building between Sander and Killian, and Killian's plot to overtake this city is beginning to not really go as smooth as he may have thought it would have gone. And that's about all I want to say because I don't want to spoil the story for you people. This week was very comic heavy and it was hard to pick one out of everything that I really loved. But I think Batman pretty much covered the other ones that I would have talked about. But in my opinion, Lantern City was one of the best this week. And if I had to rate it, I would say it's a 4.6 out of 5. Alright, see you next week.
You know, Kim Jong-un, he should read more comic books. Maybe if he was reading comic books, he wouldn't, you know, perform mass genocide on his own people. Especially if he was reading, you know, this comic book, Batman and Tmnt. Edit. Like a 3-minute section of me.